Hello, everybody, and my name's Sean McClary, and welcome back to another episode. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most calm, quiet, conservative drivers that is one of the most talented in his ways of winning a championship and all that. And that driver is Matt Kenseth. We're going to talk about his career, his stats, his accomplishments, and of course, how he got into the Cup Series and how he got successful in there. So, let's get started. Matt Kenseth was born on March 10th, 1972 in Cambridge, Wisconsin. He started his stock car racing career in 1988, and then he started his NASCAR debut came in 1996 at Charlotte, which was then called the Busch Series, driving the number 55 car, where he finished 31st in that race. Next year, in 1997, he teamed up with his first crew chief, Robbie Reiser, for several Busch Series races. And then they did the same thing. I think they went full schedule in 98. But here's the thing that happened in 98. His Cup debut, Bill Elliott, who was driving the 94 car at the time, but in the Dover weekend, Bill's dad passed away, and they needed someone to fill in, and they wanted to pick Kenseth. When Kenseth made his first start in that car, he ran very good, and then on the final laps, he battled Rusty Wallace for a top 5 position. Of course, Rusty got, and Kenseth got 6. So it's really impressive that you get your first top 10 your very first Cup race, which is very hard to do, and only a few people did it. Now, and then 99, and the very next year in that race, Kenseth, the name of the race, Kenseth made his Cup debut in the 1998 MMBA Gold 400 at Dover International Speedway. The very next year in that race, in 1999, Kenseth got his first top 5, but this time he was driving his known number 17 car. He finished 4th place in that race, and his impressive performance earned him a full-time ride in the Cup Series in 2000, driving the number 17 DeWalt Ford. After finishing 10th in the Daytona 500, I now get to his first win. He was battling Dale Jr. for Rookie of the Year, and Kenseth's only win came at Charlotte. And he held off Dale Jr. for about from a 1-second lead, and then he was able to get his first win of his career. But here's the weird thing: Dale Jr. actually won 2 races that year, including the All-Star race. But the problem was about consistency. Matt had more consistency that year than Dale Jr. did. Junior finished 16th in points that year, and Kenseth got 14th in points. With the consistency of Kenseth, that's how he got the Rookie of the Year honor. But after the Rookie of the Year honor kind of slipped, we kind of have a sophomore slump, because in 2001 he did not run as good, only led 100 laps, and only had 9 top 10 finishes throughout the year. But he had 4 top 5s in there as well. So he kind of got forgotten a little bit because he was not in contention as much. And then he came back. Well, he made a comeback in the next year in 2002. Was at Rockingham. The weird thing was, like, Sterling Marlin and Bobby Labonte were the guys to beat that day. There was a car crash. Not crash, hit the wall. It was the 36 car, Ken Schrader. And he was smoking, but the race still was green, but Marlin slipped, and Kenseth, and I think Labonte did too. But Kenseth was able to get around them and take advantage of it. And then finally the caution came out. NASCAR decided not to, finish this race under green, so they decided to finish it off and give it to Kenseth, which was his first win since his Coke 600 back in 2000. Kenseth won 4 more races that year in Texas, where he started from the back and went up to the front. His next win came at Michigan, where he did like a very fast pit stop, barely 3 seconds. And Dale Jarrett was coming on the final lap with 4 fresh tires. And Kenseth and Jarrett are side by side on the final corner, and Kenseth barely got him and got his third win of that year. His next win came at Richmond, the race where people say everything from the 2002 season changed. And his last win of the year came at Phoenix, and I don't know, nothing special about it. It's probably just another dominating win. But the thing was, Kenseth finished 8th in points that year. He had 18 top 10 finishes at the end of that year. But the thing was, Kenseth, I think, had about 8 finishes that were 30th or worse. You got to have consistency, too, if you want to win the championship. And that in his consistency came in 2003, but not the wins. It was vice versa. Kenseth only had 1 win in 2003. That was in Vegas, with beating Junior and Gordon, who were the dominant cars. But for the rest of the year, he had 26, I think, top 10 finishes by the end of that year. And he was actually sometimes in contention for wins, but he never got them. But by the end of that year, by the second to last race at Rockingham, Kenseth was about to make a pit stop and do his thing. It was a scheduled pit stop, but then the caution came out just as Kenseth was going on pit road, so he came back in and then do his pit stop under caution, and that saved him from getting the title. Kenseth finished 4th in the Rockingham race and got his first, and I think more than likely only, his NASCAR title. And then, because that's a good thing, because in the next race at Homestead, he finished 43rd, or dead last. So it's good that he clinched the championship early. But he kind of faded a little after his championship. In 2004, he only had 2 wins that year. Rockingham barely holding off Casey Kane, who was a rookie. And at Vegas, also finishing first, and second place was Casey Kane, only a little different circumstance. But Matt, he was okay throughout the year, and he did make the chase, but he kind of struggled in the chase. Only finished 8th in points, and then and also that inconsistent kind of came in 2005, where the first half of the season he did not do as well. From Daytona to Michigan, he only had 1 top 10 finish. That was 8th at Las Vegas. And then, I think at Daytona and Chicago is when the consistency came out and he became a front runner for the rest of the year. His only win in 2005 came at Bristol. And surprisingly, nobody expected him to make the chase, but he did. And I don't know exactly where he finished in points, but it definitely was top 10. Kenseth came back, made a comeback in 2006. He won 4 races. I think it was one's in California, and he won. Started in California in 2006. He won 3 more races throughout the course of the year. He did have consistency too, but unfortunately at the last race, Kenseth kind of got a little overshot by Jimmy. Jimmy got his first of his 5 in a row on championships, and Kenseth got second in the standings. So that was kind of heartbreaking to him a little bit, I have to say. 2007, he only won 2 races that year. One in California in the beginning of the year, and one at Homestead at the end of the year. This was also the final year for crew chief Robbie Reiser. And also, if Homestead was the last race, to use the Gen 4 car that we used the car tomorrow full time in 2008. Speaking of 2008, he was winless, but he still managed to make the chase and finished top 10 in points. 2009 was kind of a little bit of an opposite. He did win the Daytona 500, and he did win the next race, but after that he went to a slump, and he kind of struggled in the summer, and he failed to make the chase in his career. So he kind of struggled in 2009, and also the struggles came in 2010. Where actually in mid-2009, DeWalt announced that they will not return to Kenseth for the 2010 season. And then Crown Royal would be his sponsor. And then 2010, he was winless, but he did make the chase, but he wasn't really in contention that year. He did make a comeback in 2011. In 2011, he dominated Texas, and then he got his second win at Dover. which was really cool. And then he got his last win that year at Charlotte. But due to some, some little scuffles during the 2011 chase with some drivers, kind of took Kenseth out of contention. But Kenseth made a comeback that year, in my opinion. He ran really good, very consistent. And it carried over in 2012, where he won the Daytona 500. He also won Talladega, and he won Kansas. But the thing was, sometime in that year, Kenseth announced that he will not return to Roush in 2013. And, it's also announced that Kenseth will drive the number 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, the car that was previously driven by Joey Logano. And the 17 car that he drove was given to Ricky Stenhouse. Anyways, in the 2013 season, he had more wins than he ever did in his career. He led more laps than he ever did in his career. So it was a good year definitely for him. He won 7 races. I think he won at Vegas, Kansas, Bristol. I think there was definitely more. I gotta think about him. But there's more. I'm just saying he did win 7 races that year. But unfortunately, like 2006, he finished second to the one lucky Jimmy Johnson, who got a 6th title that year. And Kenseth finished second in the standings. 2014, Kenseth kind of, he had consistency, but he did not have, he didn't get the wins. He came close, but he didn't win any that year. His best finish was probably second at what I remember was second at Atlanta. But he still managed to make the chase and finish 7th in points. But he came back in 2015. He won 5 races. First one was at Bristol. Second one was at Pocono, where he did the fuel mileage game. Third one was at Michigan, where he dominated. Richmond, once again, dominated. And then the 5th one, he won at Loudon. Once again, he did a pit strategy and get that win. And Kenseth was actually doing very good at first. But then, sometimes, a little rival between drivers and stuff kind of got him. Kenseth finished 15th in the points that year due to missing 2 races because of the suspension he had. So, that's how it ended. So, and then Kenseth began the 2016 season with the same car. He kind of struggled early on this season, but then he kind of came back. He won Dover, holding off Larson and Elliott, and he also won New Hampshire. Those were his only 2 wins of the year. And also, May, Dollar General announced that they will not return to Kenseth for the 2017 season. He did make the chase, however. He started out good. Even though he didn't win, he started out good. But then he kind of wrecked in Phoenix, and that kind of ended his championship hopes. But he did manage to finish 5th in the standings, and he had a pretty good year that year. And then 2017, he kind of, not just him, also Joe Gibbs Racing right now are currently Denny Hamlin just won Loudon, so that was his first win, which was last week. But from Daytona to Kentucky, they were winless, and Kenseth, was not running that good in contention at all. The best race he had so far by consistency, by laps led, was at Richmond, where he won the pole and dominated the first stage. And he had some good races too. Like, he did good at Kentucky. He did good at he did good actually last week at New Hampshire. So, he's doing good sometimes he's not. But it was also announced that Kenseth will not return to the 20 car in 2018. So I'm hoping he gets another ride next year. But anyways, that's really all I have to say about Kenseth. But also Kenseth, is known for his quiet demeanor. His driving style is very clean. And with that, Kenseth won 38 races, 175 top 5 finishes, 318 top 10s, and 19 poles. And Kenseth has over $120 million in race winnings so far. Like I said, his career's not done yet, so he'll be making more and all that. But anyways, that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'm Sean McClure, and We'll see you next time on Sean's Pit Stop, and we hope Kenseth can get another ride next year. Let's see if he can do the best he can for the rest of the year. I'm out, guys. Peace.